All right, so we're going to roll in the music from the beginning.
Whenever.
Yeah, no, like it's already
happening right now.
Yeah, because in the post, because I was listening back to these the other day while one of the kids was at soccer practice, and I thought, okay, this is number 4, and it's all kind of fitting together pretty good. It's going where I thought it would go, and putting the pieces together, and we're going to do something with it. Except for, I realized I've got to do this big housekeeping thing at the front. I've done an absolutely horrible job of telling people, hey, by the way, while you're listening, if you want a next best step from what you're listening to right now, just go look in the show notes down below. Yeah, and there are all these links there that'll take you to something related to what we're talking about. Sometimes it's a book, sometimes it might be a course, but a lot of the stuff's absolutely free, and it'll just kind of let you take a deeper dive and really create your own journey here. So, that was kind of the big, it's not a fail, it's just you have a titleless podcast that will get named at some point.
Eventually.
Yeah, and so you just go, I probably need to do that now. So that's done.
It's cleaned up.
Okay, so here's what I want to do today. I want to kind of keep building on the trajectory of previous episode of really this mind shift. You've really got to somehow look at things a little bit differently than you have been. A lot of times that affects how we interact with the world around us. Now, in the extreme example, that's going to be post-traumatic stress and moral injury and some of the things we'll talk about, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 episodes from now. I've got it kind of mapped out here in this big fat notebook. But I want to just go maybe at a basic level, and let's just dialogue about something that happens to all of us all the time, and that is the belief expectation flywheel. So I don't even know if we're going to title it the belief expectation flywheel, or we'll just call it the flywheel. Let me introduce it by way of a story. So this, like years ago, I used to preach in a warehouse at a church that met on Sunday nights downtown. It was I look back and there's so many mistakes that I made during that season. And then there were so many incredible moments during that season as well. We did it on Sunday nights in a renovated warehouse, and then we did it on Sunday mornings for a while. It was a bunch of 20 and 30-somethings. And it's one of those moments where you look back in the rearview mirror and you think, man, I don't think I knew the full scope of what we had and appreciated it until you get into another chapter of life. And when you look back then, this was before the days of social media. This was really before the days websites were out. We were one of the first people that had a website, but they were nothing like what they are today. Email marketing wasn't really a thing. We would do some with email. Like I'd always email things out. We could see who clicked what and kind of figure out what people wanted to see. And that was all helpful. But it was on, again, Sunday evenings, no fog machines, no lasers, no fancy, you could bring the lights up or you could dim the lights. That's it, right? We had some candles and it was this great time of ambiance and everything. And I think that's where I learned to teach, to speak, because I was on that stage so many times and it was such a forgiving group of people despite, golly, all the bull-nosed, hard-headed leadership mistakes that I made during that season. I do remember one Sunday, we use a lot of object lessons. One Sunday I was talking about faith, and at that time I had these small kids. So my oldest kids now that are in their early mid-20s, they at the time were 3, 4, 5 years old. And when they would come up to me, I don't know why this started. They would run up to me, and I would always get them and kind of throw them in the air. Not every time, but like it was, and they would even ask.
And they wanted it, right?
Yeah, chunk me. Like they would even say, chunk me. And so I would just chunk them and then catch them and then chunk them and then catch. I even got to where like I could chunk them and then they would do a 360 in the air, like a spin sideways, not over the top, like not a flip, but a spin. Catch them, bring them down. Yeah, do it again. Like, so chunk me, do it again. And I'm looking back at this, I'm not quite 6 feet. So I'm like 5'10". But by the time I extend my arms and then chunk them, I was a cheerleader in college. for my freshman year. Now, I don't mean like a cheerleader, like the Vikings cheerleaders.
Yes,
I mean,
know.
like, okay.
The bases, the dudes.
Yeah, I mean, like literally, my job was to chunk my partner, is a female that weighed probably all of 95 pounds, up into the air, and then catch her with my arms extended out, catch her standing on top of my arms, right? So, I mean, what does that put her, like 6.5, 7 feet in the air? I don't know how long my arms. I mean, she's up there, right? So, when it comes to a little kid, I had the capacity to. I mean, they're probably 8, 9 feet in the air, you know, when they're going up, and they loved it. It was like this. Take a breath away. Okay, so all that said, I remember one Sunday morning, we're talking about faith. I don't even remember what the Bible verse is, looking back that long ago. I don't even remember what the main points of the sermon were. But I do remember that when I'm talking about it, I'm like, okay, I got to give an object lesson. So this was planned. This wasn't spur of the moment. But I'm trying to make the point that when you really have this faith and this trust, I mean, you're handing over something of value to God, not to earn it, but I mean, you're handing over, okay, I'm going to depend on you, or man, that might affect my income, that might affect a relationship, it might affect a career, it might affect an educational opportunity, it might affect whether I get chosen for the team or selected for this thing, or like, I mean, but it's based on past experience, and it's based on the wisdom that you can see in what others, how he's followed through for others, how he's come through for others. So it's not just a blind faith type of thing. There's some evidence there. And so I'm trying to communicate this. And I said, let me just make it like this. How many of you in this room right now, and there's probably, I don't know, 150 people maybe in this warehouse, how many of you think that right now, a bunch of young families, I could toss your kid in the air, spin them, and then catch them? And so, everybody's kind of like shaking their head like, yeah, I mean, like, you do it all the time. I mean, they saw me do it all the time. As soon as my kids are out of the kids' room, like, they would run up to me and, and they'd, chunk me. I don't know. There's this connection I have with my daughter, still have it. My oldest daughter. It's like, I want my dad. I mean, like, just whenever. If we're going somewhere, she'd want to ride with me. If we're going out to eat, she'd want to sit with me, probably because I was going to get a dessert or something, but like it was, so she'd always come up and where's my dad? She'd come up and see me, I'd chunk her, whatever. So all of this questioning is based on what all of these people have seen happen all the time. How many of you think I can toss your kid in the air? Most of them. I could go with that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's evidenced. It's evidence-based. And then I said, all right, if you believe that, go get your kid out of the kids' room, and I'm going to toss them right now. Now, I never would have done it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's just because the kid has to have the trust, and if they wiggle and flounder, like, it isn't going to work. But I remember as a guy, he's here in town. His name is Joe Shibinetz. He is a karate instructor, Master Joe Shibinetz. I mean, he's got a dojo. He like looks at me. He's kind of sitting, if you go like 3/4 of the way back onto the left, which is really not that far back in a small warehouse where, the seating is almost as wide as it is long. I mean, that dude, he stands up, walks. I couldn't even tell what he's doing. I just thought he's getting up to go to the restroom or go get some coffee or something. Stands up, goes back to the kids area, grabs his girl, and then walks out with her. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like now I'm going to test my faith. Am I going to
do this?
Am I going to actually chunk this kid?
Yeah.
Am I going to? So I didn't do it. Everybody's like half the people were laughing. Half of the people were like kind of gasping, going, oh my gosh, is he serious? Oh, and other people were going, did they set this up beforehand? We did not. It was just this moment of, I will actually put one of the things that I prize the most in your hands based on what I've seen you be able to do before and the likelihood very good likelihood that everything will turn out okay. Even if I'm not exactly sure that this is the most sensible, wise, even if nobody will. Here's the issue with it. Reflecting on that, putting these notes together, getting ready to come up here into the studio here at Revocation Radio, just slide that in, right? There's this moment where all of my kids got very afraid of getting chunked. And it wasn't that they were getting bigger. And I remember at some point it was so much easier to toss like a little 1-year-old than it was, a 4-year-old.
Absolutely.
Because they were getting heavy, but like I could still do it. But it was like, man, they weren't going high. They were just like, it was just like a quick spin, like real low, but you get it. But I kept wondering, like, why at some point did they suddenly become afraid of getting tossed? And you never knew when it was going to be. Like, it was a little bit unique for all of them, but it was about the time that they got to be about 4 or 5 years old, maybe at the end of 5, just before they turned 6. That's a pretty sizable kid to toss. But they were all very anxious, and I couldn't figure it out. Like, the thing that they had run to before and actually encouraged and desired, and like it wasn't like I was begging them, hey, let me toss you. Like it was like it was just this connection thing, All of a sudden, it's over, and I couldn't figure it out until about 2019. So that's, you're kind of thinking in kid world, 2019, like the oldest one's about 18. So it'd been 13 years of no toss. Still throwing the younger one, but you got enough of them that are still kind of up, like the youngest one's kind of at the end of the chunking type phase. So it's like, and it comes out, the answer comes out of this odd place where I'm studying and working through emotional health and some of my own issues. And then I'm also writing, and in the process of writing a book and doing some research and then doing some online courses about emotional health, I bumped into this guy that really helped me start understanding it. It has everything to do with what I want to talk about today, which is the belief expectation flywheel, and then why some things that were okay at some point in the past, they just don't work any longer. And maybe sometimes they do need to keep working. Make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so let's set it up. I'm writing this book. It's called The Emotional Wholeness Checklist. It's really kind of how do you work through, we'll talk about that book another time altogether. You can look down in the show notes. There's the plug and get some information on some of it. But I'm kind of working through why is it that we read the present incorrectly sometimes and we need to reevaluate what's going on. And we sometimes feel unsafe, i.e. kids, I'm not going to be chunked, when we're actually completely safe. I would have fallen and protected them at all costs, even if it meant injury to me before I allowed them to be injured. Why is it that we interpret some stuff like that? And I came in contact with this guy. His name's Dr. Benjamin Purkis. He is licensed, PhD, psychologist, has all the letters after his name. So, to be clear, he can diagnose, treat, or prescribe, but he makes things very super simple. So I'm meeting with him, dialoguing about some of this as I'm putting the book together. So I'm seeing him kind of in that capacity. At the time I was meeting with another counselor and doing some other things for myself, but I bumped into him, and he's kind of explaining all of this to me and maybe why. And he says, okay, here's what you need to know. And this is in that book, by the way. He says there are really what he termed as 3 rules of human nature. 3. And he just started laying them out there. He said, first of all, you need to know that we are designed. We're created by God to explore and grow as we age up. And that starts from the time that you're an infant. This is why you have kids, and they'll immediately go, as soon as they can crawl. Like, did you think this? Your kid's not crawling? And you're like, oh, man, are they okay? Like, are they going to actually? Yeah. I did. It was so much so that I actually taught my oldest kid how to crawl. I kind of got over her and then like started, moving her like kind of like a puppet, from a top, like move one arm and then she could roll over all this and then move the leg and then move the other arm, then move the other leg and then like kind of showed her the mechanics of it and then phew, she's off. And then after that, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that because then now they're into everything. And as soon as they're into everything, they're going into the cupboards and they're throwing the Tupperware everywhere. And then you go, we got to lock this because they're going to, they're picking up a fork and trying to shove it into the electrical outlet. And they're trying to, you give them a cup of something. They got a sippy cup and they're holding it over the high chair. And you say, hey, don't spill that. And all of a sudden they're like, I wonder what happens if I tump this over, take the lid off and just dump it. Like they're exploring and growing and figuring things out. And this continues happening as we get older. We go ride bikes and, all of a sudden it's not just pushing the boundaries in an unhealthy way. It's kind of literally growing, expanding. We're designed to go see all of the stuff that's around us. God made us to do that. But here's the problem. When you explore and you go do some things, second rule kicks into effect is that exploration causes pain. Some of your exploration results in encountering something that you didn't want to encounter. You go ride your bike, you jump the fence, and there's a big dog on the other side, or you explore a little bit, and you go, hey, I'm going to stand up on this stage and I'm going to sing, and then people laugh at your singing voice. Or you tell a joke and it doesn't land, or you get the idea. You try some things, it doesn't quite work out. It causes pain, and then as a result of that, number 3, you start creating these internal rules that are going to protect you from that pain as you move forward. So you begin interpreting future and even current experiences in light of the past stuff that you endured. And that radically affects you. So I'm talking to Dr. Perkis and we're like dialoguing through this. We'll go back through these rules again in a second. And I told him, it's like, you know what? I think when you said that just made me make sense of why my kids are just now, because the youngest one right then was at the age where he's stopping wanting to be tossed in the air. I think you just made it make sense. So they're wanting to explore and grow. It's like it's this rush of getting tossed. It's this rush of trying something new. It's like your first trip to the mall when you're in elementary and your mom and dad drop you off and go, hey, man, you can go spend all the quarters you want at Diamond Gems. Do you remember Diamond Gems? Or you could go walk around the Galleria, or you can go get left at the Friday night football game at your school by yourself, or you can go to the youth group. First time, you've got all of these explorations. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
So the kids are doing this, and then all of a sudden, exploration's causing pain. Well, I had never dropped them. But Dr. Perkis, he says this. He said, well, what, they were like 4 or 5 when this stopped? I'm like, yeah, 4, 5. He said, well, by this time, man, they've learned to walk, right? Yep. And they've taken a lot of tumbles. Like no kid just grows up and just starts walking. They fall. These kids, they riding bikes? Yeah, absolutely. So they've probably taken a few tumbles on the bike and skinned up knees, and that's, yeah, absolutely. They got a playground out back at your house. Yeah, I built one of those things, that you get from Home Depot. I don't even know if you can get them anymore, but you just go buy this kit. Do you remember the kit that's in the it's in the box that has like the green slide and the green swings? Lowe's had the yellow version with like blue handles. I think Home Depot's was all green, but you go buy the wood, they tell you exactly what to cut, how to cut it. And I'd built one of those. He said, well, they'd probably fallen off the swing a few times. Yeah, absolutely. They had. And so by now they've learned by exploring that they should be afraid of heights. That when you fall, it hurts. So you toss them up 9, 10 feet in the air, or 9, 8 feet in the air, whatever it is. It's like now, even though you've never dropped them, even though you would not drop them, that's in their head.
The potential is there.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even just potential. They've got enough experience in the background to go, man, I could, this could be
I just don't want this to happen.
This could be not comfortable. This could be an issue. So, again, we started dialoguing about this idea that so many times, as we discussed in the previous episode, we read present circumstances in light of past experiences. And sometimes we get it right. Sometimes, especially when there's pain involved, we don't get it right. We get it wrong. So put it together. We experience something because we're designed to explore, to grow, to get out there. We develop beliefs based on what we encounter. And then when we develop those beliefs based on what we encounter, that sets up an expectation of what's going to occur the next time we behave in a certain way based on our expectation that's based on beliefs that we created from past experiences. So this expectation completely fuels like what we do the next time we encounter the same experience. So you're about to throw the kid in the air, and all of a sudden, instead of getting ready to almost push off and fly, the kid kind of jolts and holds. And they just kind of play it safe, or they grab hold of your arm. Well, what was it based on? It was based on expectations of past beliefs, of past experiences, and now we're on a whole new terrain. So apply it. Like, you're listening, let's just think about how this might affect you. You grow up in a household where when there's a disagreement, all of a sudden people yell or scream. You're going to avoid conflict at all costs unless you just love fighting, which most of us don't. You have a disagreement with someone, which is normal in everyday life. Like, we just see things differently, or we forget things, or we make mistakes. Everybody does that. Well, you grew up in a place or had past relationship where you just got frozen out, or you froze each other out for days. Man, that's going to encounter how honest, how transparent, how much you reveal in the future. You're going to grow up with this idea that the world is not always safe, that relationships aren't always what they're designed to be by God. I'm talking to Dr. Perkins about this, and I told him, it's like, man, I got a confession to make to you. I said, I'm not always an animal person. I know somebody listening right now, you're going to think, what? Don't get offended. Here's what happened with that. Growing up, I loved dogs, and I remember going to my friend Daniel's house. It's probably third grade, and Daniel's dad was a pilot. In the backyard, they had the cockpit of an old fighter type jet, just the glass that was there, and that was his dog's doghouse. The dog's name was Snoopy. Snoopy was this blue, grayish greyhound, and I remember walking out there. So it's a pretty sizable dog, especially, greyhound's pretty sizable, especially when you look back and go, okay, I'm in third grade, so what size is that? And I just know it was in third grade based on where I was living at the time and when we moved. So that's how I remember the date and time. But it wasn't that traumatic of an event. It's just I remember the house I lived in, and we moved shortly thereafter. I walked around and scared Snoopy. I didn't mean to scare Snoopy, but Snoopy jumped at me, never would have bitten me. But it was enough to where Snoopy snapped, I'm alarmed. And now it's like, man, I just don't like the unknown with animals. Even now, I'll be running somewhere, on a trail, or in a park that's over near my house, and these people will have their dogs running loose, and I hate it when the dog's loose and runs at me, and the person says something like, oh, hey, don't bother him. He won't do anything. He might lick you to death. And I'm like, that's still inappropriate. I don't want that. I don't want your dog to lick me. I don't. It's. But you think about that encounter when you're little.
It's foundational.
You start reading future moments in light of past experiences. We're dialoguing about this. I say, man, you know what? that actually has marked me because at the time I lived close to downtown and I had all these little loops that I would go run. Sometimes I would go run 5 miles. I had another loop that was like 6, 7 miles, another loop that was even longer than that. This one loop that I would run, I would always come down in Forest Park. If you're in Birmingham, you know where Forest Park is. And there was this little dog, I mean like tiny rugrat mutt of a dog that's probably, I mean, like the size of let's just call it like a teacup poodle or something like that. I don't even know all my dog breeds, but I know this one was like tiny dog. So you're thinking tiny, small dog. Whenever I ran down that street, that dog would run out to me and then it would hit what was a little red flag in the yard at the end. I mean, like a foot high wire type pole of a flag with a little red. I mean, the red flag's probably 3 inches by 5 inches. The whole yard on their side of the sidewalk, every 6-10 feet had one of these red flags. And the dog would get to the corner red flag and then start barking really, really loud. But then it would never come to the street. It would just kind of go down the line of those flags. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And it was a really wide yard. So, I mean, we're talking probably 40 yards, 120 feet of just this little, dog just running with me. Well, I'm like, oh my, for the love, shut your ever-loving mouth. Dog.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, those flags are gone. But the dog still does the same exact thing. The dog still runs out, sees me every time I run through there. And like the dog knows me. I'm like, wow, like I've been living here for, over a decade. Dog still runs out, runs to the corner, and then follows me down the whole trajectory of the yard. So I'm explaining this to Dr. Perkis. And I'm saying, even that got me. But I knew, like while I'm running, I knew that dog had an electric fence right there that would shock the dog. But I'm still like anxious. And he says, no. The dog did not have an electric fence. I was like, what do you mean? He said, the dog has an electric fence while the flags are there. But at some point they remove the fence. There's no boundary, but the dog thinks they're a fence. So the dog interprets its present in light of its past pain. He's like, that dog could have gotten you at any time you wanted to as soon as the flags are gone. It's like, really? It's like, absolutely. So everybody, everything around you does this thing. Designed to explore. All right, so dog sees a guy come. I'm gonna go take this guy on. Oh, zap. Encounter something that causes pain. Starts interpreting every future experience in light of the rules that the dog creates. When in this case, I mean, like the dog could have gotten what he wanted. The dog could have just been biting my ankles that whole 100 feet, whatever the length of the yard was. It's kind of the classic, they tie up an elephant when the elephant's little on the rope, and then when they're older, you're like, well, what's the deal with that rope holding the elephant? I mean, I've never seen this. I would never get close to that elephant. No. But, it's like, well, they say the elephant just remembers when he couldn't break free, and now he doesn't break free.
It's just a simple stake in the ground.
Yeah. It's just, they will stay. Now you think about, here's what we catch. It sounds like all of this is just negative. It's not. Dr. Perkis, he explained, he said, well, you create these rules. Some of these rules can be helpful. Some of these rules can be harmful. There can be helpful rules that become your friends that keep you from harm in healthy ways. There can be rules that are really your foes that they hinder you. They're not helpful. They're harmful. So there's functional rules and dysfunctional rules might be the way to think about it. Functional rules, helpful rules, rules that keep us from touching hot stoves, those are helpful. Rules that keep us from walking down dark alleys at night, from swimming in the ocean alone, from walking into oncoming traffic, from taking a walk off of something that's high and just falling. Like those are helpful rules. Rules that encourage you to say, hey, you know what? I drank something tonight. I probably should just take an Uber. That's helpful. That's functional. At the same time, there are these dysfunctional rules. Dysfunctional rules keep you from making progress they're harmful. They're your foes. They're based on the perceptions of the past. They have some basis in reality, but they're not really where you are now. Okay, see, again, let's just start pulling it together. You're designed to explore and grow, fly high. But exploration at some point causes pain. As a result of that, you create these beliefs, these rules that are going to inform how you behave in the future, which is going to affect your encounters and experiences. And it just creates this loop that gets stronger and stronger as it goes around. Now, those rules, those belief patterns, again, to be clear, they can be functional, meaning they're your friend, they help you, they keep us from pain in healthy ways, they're helpful again, or they can be dysfunctional, they are foes, they hinder you, they keep you from progress in harmful ways. Here's the issue. Our brains don't distinguish between which rules are functional and which rules are not. It just goes with the checklist, with the rules. Does that make sense?
Becomes very, what was once situational now covers abroad, and we can't get over that hump.
Well, and you think about, man, goodness, cognitively, I mean, from a neuroscience perspective, we're so complex. Have you ever been, this will maybe bring the reality a little bit more. You ever been in a movie theater and you're watching a scary movie? I hate scary movies, but there's these jump scares and and all of a sudden, like, your heart is racing and you're jumping. And when you think about it, you're really just sitting in a chair. There's nothing that's going to happen to you. Or you pull up, your phone and you're watching this Instagram reel and it's somebody climbing a mountain or parachuting, or they're leaning over. Like, one of the big trends is people climbing these really tall buildings, without ropes or anything. And and you look at it and all of a sudden you start getting queasy and you feel lightheaded and you feel, I'm sitting on my couch. Your brain doesn't always distinguish between what's real and what's not real, what's functional, what's not functional, what's helpful, what's not helpful, especially when there's a basis of reality and truth by it. So that's the thing you need to catch on all this. It's not that you're flawed. All of the stuff, when it comes to these rules, it has some basis in reality. I mean, that dog literally did get shocked the first couple times it ran up to that sidewalk. And then that's why it kind of made that beeline down the sidewalk next to the road. That elephant really did get hindered from breaking free. My kids really did fall off of a bicycle or stumble while they were walking. Somebody really did freeze you out at the playground and ignore you because you were on a different team or because you won and they lost or whatever. Somebody really did probably make fun of your singing voice. Somebody really did not select you. Somebody really did ignore you. Somebody really did yell at you, shame at you, dishonor you. Somebody really did. It's all based in something that really did occur. The problem is, at some point, you kind of got to stop that flywheel, or you keep getting more of what you got in the past, and it becomes more difficult to break the loop. I was, maybe this will be a great parallel to understand it. I don't even know how we are on time. I should have checked that beforehand. Just kind of rocking along here.
Roll with it, man. We're good.
Well, it's not like we're on network TV,
No.
and you go, we got to land this by, or it's not even like we're on the radio.
No, this
Like
is
you gotta stick the landing.
No, this is your thing, man.
So I was driving through Huntsville. It was a couple years ago. This story will date it, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna stop in, check on my parents at the time, and we ended up going to Red Robin, where they have bottomless fries and bottomless salad. So at some point right there, we're talking, I'm eating bottomless fries, my dad is eating bottomless salad, and we're just dialoguing. The question comes up from him about, what are you writing right now? What are you writing about? Because I'm generally always, working on something, even if not aggressively. It's just kind of reading and putting ideas together and shaping out something that I'm going to communicate. And so I told him, I said, well, I'm writing right now about post-traumatic stress. and how we sometimes explained it to him. He knew a little bit about it, but how sometimes we read present situations in light of past painful moments and we misinterpret. Something kind of triggers us, and we got to realize, okay, I'm in a different place right now. I'm safe. This is a different position. It's always explainable, so I'm dialoguing about that. And then he brings up this idea. He says, it kind of sounds like soul memory, which it is. So you are body, soul, and spirit. So your spirit's that part of you that's connected with the Holy Spirit. Your body, that's like your physical, tangible flesh. But you've got this mind, these feelings, these thoughts, personality. All that's part of your soul. That's different than the spirit. Now, it's all, connected, and it's all part of the same person. But these feelings, these thoughts, these beliefs, that's really coming from the area of the soul, not the spirit. So it sounds like he said soul memory, and it seems like soul memory works a lot like muscle memory. So here's the correlation. He says, all right, so Steph Curry, this is how it's going to date it. He's an example of what you're writing about, except it's muscle memory, not emotional or mental or soul memory. So this is kind of how I remember my dad saying it. He says he practices his three-pointers over and over and over until they're almost automatic. So he's in a game, he releases the ball. It's almost a given that it's going to go into the hoop. I mean, so much so that he'll shoot, and then sometimes he'll do a no-look walk-off. And you've probably seen this because you do Little League sports. So all the little kids are like doing these shoot, and they get so enamored with their shot, they just walk off. And you're like, whoa, buddy, you're not Curry. You got to rebound. You're sitting going in every time. So,
but I like the confidence.
Yeah. So with Curry, it's almost a given that it's going to go into the hoop. It doesn't matter how many defenders jump on him. It doesn't matter how much they get in his face. It doesn't matter how bad his balance is at the moment. It doesn't matter if he gets bumped at the last moment. At some point, muscle memory kicks in. And this was right when they were on that run of those championships. So that's how they did it. And I told my dad, I was like, I guess that's why he gets paid big bucks. He's like, that's absolutely why he gets paid big bucks. No muscle memory that puts the ball in the hoop. No big money. Mm-mm. All right, so he makes another correlation. And I think like maybe golf was on the screen or something. It's like, yeah, PJ, because Red Robin's got TVs
everywhere.
It's kind of like a sports bar for kids. All right, so golfers, all the guys on the PGA circuit, they hit the same drives over and over and over. I mean, you're talking about guys in the PGA practicing 1,000 hits or swings a day before they even play.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it's like that kind of. I mean, they repeat it ad nauseum. But there's a crowd around them. Stakes are high. Everybody's so close. I mean, if I was playing golf, nobody would stand that close.
Oh, no.
You're going to take one to the temple, right? It's over. But they can put the ball exactly where they want it to go for the most part because of that repetition. Okay, so soul memory works a lot like muscle memory. We live forward based on what's happened in the past, even if the present is nothing like the past. Again, you've got the experience. So if you're kind of drawing this flywheel out in your head, you go, okay, let's just, maybe 4 points on a fan, like a 4-bladed fan, right? So one of them, you got experience. So experience happens. A lot of those experiences, they're awesome. Getting chunked high in the sky, oh, it's phenomenal. Going on some of these dates and relationships and jobs and careers and opportunities and business growth. And, I got to speak on stage. I got to run this event and I got to do that. It's incredible. But some of those experiences cause pain. And that leads us to fan blade number 2 or flywheel blade number 2. So we create these beliefs. And some of those beliefs help us and some of those beliefs, rules, they hold us back. And regardless, we go into with an expectation, third blade, next time that we encounter something very similar. And if our past experiences have been great, oh my goodness, like we're going to interpret the next encounter. Hey, I've been here before. I know what's going on. You're going to get excited. I mean, you take your kids to any Chuck E. Cheese anywhere on the planet or any Chick-fil-A anywhere on the planet, they're like, it's go time. But sometimes we encounter something and it's very similar to something that was harmful in the past. And so it slows us down. So we behave, number 4, fourth blade there, in a certain way, which really clouds, back to number 1, top, the experience. And it goes over and over and over and over. Now think about Steph Curry, think about the PGA guys. I wonder what would happen. He practices those shots. They practice those swings. Well, and they get it right, and they practice until they get it right. But what would happen if they practice the shot wrong for a few thousand reps every single day? What would happen if they didn't stick it until it was right? Oh, I got to do it again. I got to do it again. I got to do it again. I got to get this one correct because so much is on the line. Like, it really matters. You see, I heard this phrase growing up. You probably say it because like you're coaching and all of this kind of stuff. With practice makes perfect. It really doesn't. Practice makes more of whatever you practiced.
Perfect practice makes perfect.
Oh, there we go.
That's the one.
That's the so. I mean, so I guess your generation, like 10 years almost in the rearview mirror of me, y'all corrected it. So, practicing the wrong thing creates the wrong muscle memory for your kids that are playing the sports.
It does.
They're doing the baseball. They're doing the basketball. You doing football?
Yeah.
All of it. Okay, all the sports.
He
There's
does
not
it
a
all
sport that y'all don't do.
No, because my daughter does volleyball and basketball. She doesn't do softball.
There's no time. Like, there's no.
Yeah, well,
but okay, so practicing the wrong thing makes more of the wrong result. Think about believing and even feeling and living out the wrong thing. It creates the wrong soul memory. It leads you into a rut. If you follow the hidden rules too long, at some point you got to stop. You got to step back. You got to redo. You got to think, you know what, the reality is I crave a thriving marriage. But I got to be willing to have some tough conversations. Or not even tough in the sense of they're hard or difficult, but like I've got to be transparent. Like I've got to expose myself to somebody else. I've got to open myself up anew. You think, golly, I want to grow a very large for whatever the Lord has for me, prosperous business. I mean, you guys are doing that. But in order to do that, you got to put yourself out there. You got to hang up a sign. You got to put up a website. You got to, hey, we're open for business, even if nobody comes. And they might not. You might think, I can imagine myself going back to school, learning a new skill, learning a new trade. But to do that, you got to clear the schedule. You got to make some adjustments. I mean, you get the idea. There are so many important things that people want to do that are just on the other side of an invisible fence like that dog had that you're afraid might shock you. And they might. They might not. But the truth is, many of the hopes and dreams that we have stand in contrast to what's safe. So there are things now, they might be your version of winning a 3-point fadeaway, game-clinching shot off balance with half the crowd cheering, half the crowd booing, some of the crowd throwing stuff out onto the court, all while time runs out. Think about that in the world of the soul. Prayer is, the Lord bless you, keep you, be gracious, shine favor on you, and may you just have the clear wisdom to see it. Jesus says, I know my sheep know me, they hear my voice clearly, so you can hear him. I don't need to tell you what the rules are, or the hidden things that are holding you back, or the little red flags along the sidewalk, or the contrast to what's safe, what's not safe, where you need to step forward, cross the line, move into who God's designed you to be. The Holy Spirit can tell you all of that. And the truth is, it may look so different for each of us. But may you just have the wisdom to, in a word, just break free.